Journey for Elysium is an adventure game built specifically for VR.
The story for Journey for Elysium is set primarily in the Greco-Roman Etruscan mythological underworld.
Hello, my name is Dave van der Malen. I'm the founder of Mantis Studio and I'm one of the original co-creators of the game Journey for Elysium. Mantis kind of evolved from, as it goes with every game, two people having an idea to create a game, and then in the past we got some VAF funding for that, got another person on board, then we were with three, but at one point you need to have like a complete team to get a production out there, and building a game takes a lot of work, and that's when Mantis actually started, because we needed a lot of talent on board to make the game run in full speed, or the game production run in full speed and deliver the game. The original idea for Journey for Elysium started off in 2016 when myself and a dear friend of mine, Alexander Casteels, had the idea to produce a game for VR. VR wasn't a big thing back then, it was just getting noticed by consumers, and we looked at VR and wanted to see, okay, how can we create like a really cool immersive experience out of that. And one of the things that I found very important by using VR back in those days was that movement was always a problem. So that's how we started to think about how can we solve the problem of moving in VR, knowing that you have a limited space, and that's how the thinking actually started. I also have a background in art history and I always liked the classical antiquity, so that was kind of the setting immediately from the start, and we tried to think about that, and then we came up with the story of the boatman getting movement along in the VR world, and that's actually how the game started.
In total, we're a team of 3 artists, so it's quite a small team, but we all have a very broad spectrum of skills. Everyone has his core skills, so for example, I'm very good at organic art, which contains characters, nature, animations. Other people are better at hard surface like weapons, vehicles. Not that matters in Journey for Elysium, but everyone has things that they're especially good at. But we all can support each other in the things that we do best.
A big inspiration, of course, comes from classical antiquity, which is a very rich culture, very rich history that's there to be found. Like you have the Romans, you have the Greeks, but even the Etruscans, which were a big inspiration as well, because they were really focused on death culture as well, because the Romans took over. So we were able to pour a lot of inspiration out of all the stories, the books, the myths, the architecture that was there. One thing in special that was a big inspiration is the story of Aeneas, who traveled to the underworld to get his wife back because she had died, but then in getting out with her he turned and he couldn't look back to her, and she disappeared for forever. So that's actually the feel that we think is really important for the game as well, like these difficult choices, a lot of tragedy of course, but also a lot of great inspiration. So that was a main inspiration for us. But also other stuff, like even in the medieval ages, Dante wrote a lot of stuff about the underworld or the different kinds of hell. So it was a bit gloom and doom at times, but it was cool to grasp inspiration out of that and see how we could translate this to the game world that made sense for the people that would play it.
Every artist gets a lot of freedom. We all get responsibility over a certain part of the world, and we try to confine the artists as few as possible so that they can use their skills to make it stronger and better. We all respect, of course, the story and art style of Journey for Elysium.
So when it came to level design, as a learning experience for me personally, Tilt Brush proved to be a tremendous asset in this regard, because one of the biggest wow factors in VR is the ability to really perceive scale. It's one thing to look at a tall building on a flat screen. It's quite another thing to be inside of the tall building in virtual reality. You experience the scale on a totally different level.
What we truly enjoy is the big amount of contact we get with our community. We go to events, we go to shows, and we get in touch with people. We get huge amounts of feedback, and people are really enthusiastic about the project. That in turn makes us very motivated to make it stronger and better than it was before. We will continue development until everyone is satisfied. We have a very broad audience, and that was the goal of our development.